Good morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Taylor Stephenson, joining you on the weather desk for today while Craig enjoys a much-deserved day off here and really the next few days off. So it'll be me or Hunter here on the weather desk with you from now through Wednesday. And if you haven't joined the weather desk before, this is an all-weather show where we talk about the biggest weather headlines across Hampton Roads and northeastern North Carolina, so coastal Virginia and coastal North Carolina through the entirety of the U.S. and even we go overseas sometimes to talk about the biggest weather stories there. Now, we have some really big topics to cover today. The first topic I want to talk about are the Washington wildfires that are going on there out west and the destruction they have caused. We'll talk about those wildfires, plus there's wildfires ongoing in Europe as well. We'll go all the way across the pond to talk about that, plus the high heat that's also going on overseas that could impact what you bring to the table in the next few months. Also, we are going to talk about a shark on shore in North Carolina. Now, this one does include graphic images. I'll remind you again before we get into the story. We'll talk about that and even get a look at what's happening in the tropics at the moment as we enter what is historically starting the ramp up of hurricane season now that it is the first Monday of August. Also, we have a lot of wet weather in the forecast for Hampton Roads and northeastern North Carolina over the course of the work week. I'll talk more about what to expect for the rest of the day today, what to expect for the rest of the work week, and even how the weekend may shake out. All those details will be at the end of this show. But first, we're going to go to 3 major wildfires burning in Spokane County, Washington. As of last night, no injuries or deaths have been confirmed, but officials say they are still assessing the damage. Reed Binion reports.
This morning I came back and came around the corner and I saw my chimney.
Residents in Washington state returning to utter devastation after wildfires torched communities in Spokane County, leveling homes that held countless memories.
I built that steel thing on top of the chimney in shop when I was a little kid.
Crews are battling 3 major fires in Spokane County. Flames have burned through thousands of acres after the blazes broke out Saturday and spread quickly. Hundreds of structures have been destroyed and tens of thousands of people have been evacuated.
To give you a level of the scope of the evacuations, in that particular area, there are over 14,000 structures.
Firefighters are getting the support of crews from more than a dozen other states and all the way from Australia. And according to Senator Maria Cantwell, Washington state will be prioritized for federal resources because one of the fires, the Autumn Lane fire, is the highest priority blaze in the country right now.
It is the top fire in our nation. That means they are going to give us the resources that we need here on the ground.
That help can't come soon enough. For some residents, the devastation has already been monumental.
I don't ever want to have to relive a fire coming up this hill again. And I've been in Spokane my entire 64 years. I think it's time for me to leave Spokane.
I'm Reed Binion reporting.
Very sad images out there in Washington, and I'm thinking about my friends out there in Washington, those I don't know, those I do know, and I hope that the recovery and rebuild will be easy for you all. Now, of course, what fuels these wildfires are hot and dry conditions, not only here in the U.S., but it's also true for other places around the world. As we zoom in here to Hampton Roads in northeastern North Carolina, we've seen some really big improvements with our drought monitor over the past month or so, where most of this area was underneath a severe drought, some areas underneath an extreme drought. And you can notice that some areas of the south side in North Carolina are not in any level of dry conditions, which is fantastic. You get up into the peninsulas and portions of the western south side and extreme northern south side, and we're underneath abnormally dry or moderate drought conditions. So still could use some rainfall, which will easily get here over the course of the next few days. Now, zooming out to show the entirety of the Commonwealth through North Carolina, still in central Virginia and north central North Carolina and out towards the Appalachian Mountains. Some extremely dry conditions going on there where rainfall is definitely needed just to the south and west of Asheville. Down into the deep south, it's really the majority of Florida dealing with those really bad drought conditions, but a lot of the deep south getting some good rainfall over the past few weeks, helping to alleviate the drought there. Also seeing some better conditions in the Midwest, but out west is where, again, we're seeing those wildfires really spark up, and we are dealing with some extremely or exceptional drought conditions in the heart of Colorado, and again, out west where we are seeing those wildfires all the way up into Washington. So that's a look at your U.S. drought monitor. But after the break, we're going to talk more about wildfires that are burning across Europe. I'll have a look at the conditions in Greece. Plus, back-to-back heat waves are forcing winemakers to adapt in France, how scorching temperatures are impacting this year's vines. Welcome back. It's not just the U.S. dealing with wildfires. This is a look at the conditions in Greece. There are now wildfires burning near Athens and the islands of Paros and Crete. Hundreds of people have been ordered to evacuate. We also now know that 3 firefighters died while battling flames on the ground. 2 more crew members died after 2 firefighting helicopters collided near Athens. Sweltering temperatures and dry conditions are helping fuel wildfires across Europe. Here's a look at tourists trying to stay cool in the Rome heat over the weekend. At least 25 cities across Italy are now on a red alert, including Rome, Milan, Venice, and Naples. Residents have been warned to limit their time outside between 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. This heat is also forcing winemakers to adapt. Some have even been lucky enough to avoid the wildfires, but the weather has been hot enough to change the taste of this year's vintage. CNN's Melissa Bell reports.
Not very far from the edge of the Gironde wildfire, some of the Bordeaux region's finest grapes are ripening. The owner of Chateau Smith au Lafitte says they were lucky. The flames were 18 kilometers away and the smoke never made it here. And looking at these grapes, it isn't simply that the smell came to you for a couple of times, a couple of hours. You didn't get the smoke.
No.
We're far from the fires, and the grapes are such that they are impermeable at this point anyway.
Totally, because you see, if you touch them, it's very hard. Yes. And we have maybe 2 hours of bad smell, not ashes, nothing. So it's perfect.
The vineyards here go back to the 14th century. From the vantage point of the chateau's tower, Florence Catillard explains that the real challenge this year has been protecting her organically grown grapes from the summer's extreme heat. Oh, it's beautiful from up here. Under the chateau's floorboards, you get a glimpse of what's at stake. They call this paradise, where the property's most ancient and expensive wines are kept.
This is a very special piece. And in fact, you can see here all the bottles, the oldest we have here. It is 1878.
As we taste 2016, Yann Lodéo says this year's vintage will be unharmed by the fires, but redrawn by the heat.
I try to make the best wine we can make for each vintage.
So it's a reinvention.
Exactly.
Unlike recent vintages affected by wildfires in Napa, those of the Bordeaux region appear to have emerged relatively unscathed.
It looks as though the problems of smoke taint, which is the biggest fear, there may be some, but there won't be very much by the sound of it. But it certainly won't be anything like what we saw in California in 2020, for example.
Leaving now just the question of what sort of vintage such a hot and dry summer will yield, even now that the fires appear to have been tamed. Melissa Bell, CNN, in the Bordeaux region.
And with the climate change impacts for years to come, we'll start to see these vineyards having to, again, adapt to just temperatures overall being warmer, where Europe has had one of their hottest summers in over 100 years. Right now, you can see the current temperatures through portions of Western and Central Europe, where places like Budapest, almost 100 degrees during their afternoon time here, 95 now in Paris, and 95 as you head into Rome and Thessaloniki. And in these areas, they don't really have centralized AC. So high heat paired with a lack of some heat proof or heat preventing measures makes for an extremely hot summer. Again, we're going to see a lot of these crops having to be protected or having to be moved in order to help them survive for years to come. Next, a shocking sight on North Carolina's beaches, what we know about the hammerhead shark that washed ashore over the weekend. Welcome back, everyone. Beachgoers in North Carolina witnessed something very rare over the weekend. A 14-foot hammerhead shark washed ashore in a North Carolina beach. To give you perspective, I'm only about 5'4", so that is more than twice, almost 3 times my height. Rachel Hawley spoke to conservationists, who are now working to determine if its cause of death. And we want to warn you that some of these images in this story may be hard to watch.
Definite once-in-a-lifetime thing. I've never seen anything like it, so yeah, it was pretty cool but sad, at the same time.
Beachgoers in the north end of Carolina Beach were shocked to see a great hammerhead shark on the sand this afternoon. Because of the shark's massive size, it took a team of officials from Ocean Rescue, the Carolina Beach Fire Department, and the police department to bring the animal fully onto the shore. Experts say the shark was already dead when emergency crews retrieved it. At 14 feet long, this female great hammerhead is extremely large. Members of the North Carolina Shark Conservancy quickly went to work on the sand, collecting vital measurements and tissue samples.
We had some volunteers come out and did a workup, took some basic measurements, and then tissue samples.
While the exact cause of death is still unknown, researchers noted evidence of fishing interaction. The shark had a deep cut at the base of its tail fin and a puncture mark near its jaw. For now, the Shark Conservancy will study the samples and try to piece together what happened in her final hours.
There was some evidence of fishing interaction, but we can't for sure say that that was the cause of death.
Local officials were able to remove the shark's body off of the sand and are properly disposing of it.
Scientists say the U.S. could see a surge in shark sightings this hurricane season due to a super El Nino forming. Now, speaking of the tropics, here's what's going on as we track the tropics this morning. We are not expecting any tropical activity over the next 7 days, not only in the Atlantic, but also in the very active Pacific. The Pacific hurricanes and Pacific hurricane season just saw their G-name hurricane become a tropical storm and fizzle out over the past couple of days. Here in the Atlantic, we've only been through 2 names. Now, it's not a complaint, it's just actual fact that it has been a very quiet hurricane season. Now, the Hurricane Center says that during this time of year, early August, is where we start to see that ramp up in tropical activity usually. We're way behind for this time of year. Right now, we are at August 3rd, and of course, the season doesn't end until November the 30th. And as you see, starting to see that uptick in tropical activity, we usually see that here in the early portions of August, or as we kind of round out that summertime. But of course, peak season is not until you get to around September the 10th for the Atlantic hurricane season. Again, we've only been through 2 names. Now, water temperatures around the Hampton Roads area here on the definitely cooler side for what could be, again, the fuel for hurricanes. Right now, we're around the 70 to 80 degree mark. Usually, you do need water temperatures 80 plus to really fuel those hurricanes. And here's a wider look through the deep south of the United States where, I mean, it's like bath water as you get into the Gulf, where their water temperatures are easily in the mid 80s and low 90s. So there's plenty of fuel. We're just not really getting a lot of that tropical activity going. Again, not a bad thing, as we would like a very calm hurricane season, because even with the 2 named storms we got this season, both of them did make landfall in the United States. Now let's take a live look outside. I'll have a look at what to expect for the work week outlook for Hampton Roads, plus the temperature trends you could see in August. Welcome back, everyone. We're now 3 days into August. Meteorologist Hunter Forrest has what you can expect this month when it comes to rain and temperature trends.
As we head into August, summer is still in full swing, but there are some subtle changes you'll begin to notice. We start the month with average highs around 89 degrees and morning lows near 73. By the end of August, temperatures typically begin to ease back a bit, with average highs dropping to around 85 and lows falling to around 70. While it stays hot, it's a sign that we're slowly beginning to transition towards fall. The hottest August day on record reached a scorching 105 degrees back in 1918, while the coldest August temperature was 49 degrees back in 1982. August is also one of our wetter months, averaging about 5.8 inches of rainfall. The wettest single August day dumped nearly 8 inches of rain back in 2011, and the wettest August on record saw more than 15.5 inches of rain in 1942. You'll also notice a very unfortunate truth. The days are getting shorter. Sunrise shifts from 6:10 at the beginning of the month to 6:35 by month's end, while sunset moves from 8:10 to 7:34 p.m. So expect plenty of heat, regular storm chances, and the first hints that summer is beginning to wind down. For 13 News Now, I'm meteorologist Hunter Forrest.
And speaking of August being one of the wettest months of the year, we are definitely going to feel that for the first full week of August. I'm expecting more rainfall potentially today with afternoon showers and thunderstorms possible. We will see the potential for even more rain tomorrow after what was a wet start to the day today. Now, I will say we will be rainy throughout the week as each and every day from now through Friday, even as we get into the weekend, will feature at least the opportunity for an isolated shower or thunderstorm. Now, the good part about this is I am not watching for any extreme heat as we begin August. We'll have stable temperatures after tomorrow where we're going to remain right near normal or just slightly above, but not really passing into that heat wave potential at all. Right now, from the Thompson Creek Window Company Sky View, you can see that it is a much sunnier second half of the morning here in Hampton Roads in northeastern North Carolina. Finally starting to see some blue skies. It also is breezy at the moment, but more cloud cover right now than sunlight. Temperatures are in the upper 70s, near 80 degrees. We did fall just a bit earlier today due to the fact the rainfall did cool the air. Dew point temperatures, though, that is going to be my personal struggle and a lot of people's personal struggle over the next few days. It's going to remain elevated in those mid 70s, so it's going to be very humid outside. Right now, we do have south-southwest winds up to about 15 miles per hour. Here's a look at the ongoing rainfall for portions of the Outer Banks. In this area, we have an active flood watch in effect until 5 p.m. All of this rain is triggered by a slow-moving cold front right now sitting over central Virginia and central North Carolina. Anything east of this front will be the bullseye for that rain development. So expect us to have rainfall again developing during the afternoon and evening with the heat of the day. But that cold front will struggle to make it to the coast over the next couple of days, and eventually it will just wash out over Hampton Roads, and that's why we have so many rain chances in the forecast. A few isolated showers ongoing around the eastern shore of Noncock up through Chincoteague. Otherwise, outside of the eastern shore and the Outer Banks, is the only area I'm watching for rainfall right now. We're underneath the level 1 out of 4 risk for flash flood potential today, meaning that an isolated flash flood is possible, especially around the Outer Banks today where we do have that flood watch, as I mentioned. That's really for poor drainage in low-lying areas. So taking you through the rest of their morning into the afternoon, temperatures will warm up over the next hour or so to the low to mid 80s. By the afternoon, we're going to climb into the upper 80s and low 90s. That's right near normal for this time of year. Our normal high temperature for August 3rd is 88 degrees. So tack on the fact that we have that high humidity, it's going to feel more like the mid to upper 90s. Some places that do make it to the low 90s will feel more like the triple digits. With the heat of the day, we could see some showers and thunderstorms redeveloping, even some scattered downpours possible later on this evening. So be aware of that if you're thinking about heading out later tonight or if you're working that third shift. Overnight tonight will dry out, but cloud cover will stick around before our next round of rain returns by tomorrow. Speaking of tomorrow, we'll have a flip-flop of the rain chances. We had a lot of rain this morning. Tomorrow will be a little bit more dry during portions of the morning. morning. It's really going to be the afternoon where I'm tracking showers and thunderstorms. Due to the cloud cover and the rainfall tomorrow will be the coolest day of the week with highs at best in the low to mid 80s. As that cold front just slowly gets closer to Hampton Roads in northeastern North Carolina, we'll continue with rain chances, but you can see they slowly go down throughout the weekend and into early next week. Overall, we could pick up anywhere from half an inch of rainfall up to an inch, but with some isolated heavy downpours through Friday, we could see maybe some areas picking up an inch and a half of rainfall. Now, it was really hard to choose my pick of the week just because we have rainfall in place every single day, but I just chose a day that has the least amount of rainfall and temperatures close to normal. So Saturday, even though it will be hot and humid, at least we only have an isolated chance for an afternoon shower or thunderstorm. So overall, watching for what is going to be a rainy week here in Hampton Roads. You take your pick of the week, you have a day of rain. Temperatures are going to be in the upper 80s today, mid 80s tomorrow, rising back to the upper 80s on Wednesday with 90s in the forecast from Thursday through the weekend. And again, with that high humidity still in place, feels like temperatures from Thursday through the weekend will be near the triple digits. Remember, you can always get the latest news, weather, and traffic on the go with the 13 News Now app. Scan the QR code on your screen to download the app now. It's free on the Apple Store and on Google Play. Thank you so much for joining me here on the Weather Desk. Again, I'm meteorologist Taylor Stephenson, a certified broadcast meteorologist here at 13 News Now, based in Norfolk, Virginia, serving southeastern Virginia and northeastern North Carolina. And of course, on the Weather Desk, we serve people all around the world. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I'll be back here at 9 a.m. tomorrow with the Weather Desk. See you then.